Yeah, so Crowdcrafting is a platform where we invite people to do citizen science, also known as crowdsourcing. The whole idea is to tackle the intelligence from people in different challenges that cannot be done alone by machines. So basically, the thing about crowdsourcing on science and in research is because nowadays technology has also reduced its price. IT is really cheap, so usually you will have phones with cameras, with GPS, with, I mean, my phone, for example, has a barometer, so it can measure the pressure of the weather, so it's easy to even forecast and know where you are. And the other thing is volunteers or people who participate in this type of projects, they are more professional than they look like. Usually they have more money invested in this type of events, or because it's their passion, than professionals. Um, the whole idea behind crowdcrafting is that you can do image pattern recognition problems. So for example, as I was saying before, we have a project right now that is looking to identify all the images that the astronauts take pictures from the International Space Station. So they're taking pictures from the Earth at day, at night, from stars, from the moon, from themselves. They take selfies too. The issue is they put all those pictures in one big archive, and no one takes care of analyzing them. Like, there is no order, no such a thing. Because NASA, at the beginning, they only thought this was interesting only for putting it on Twitter, beautiful pictures. But this research group finds it interesting. And in this video, because it doesn't have sound, I can show you how easy it is to create a project. This has changed a bit. Now it's a bit more easier. So basically, you type the name of the project, you write a description, so your volunteers or the people you're working with will know what you're trying to do. Then you click in the create project, and here basically these video tutorials are on YouTube, so you can actually see it. The whole idea here is to show you how you can integrate different platforms within crowdcrafting. So let's skip this for getting the image. I mean, you can add an avatar. And then the cool thing is, for example, we have integrated this with Flickr. They give you 1 terabyte of free space. So for example, I can log in into my account and I can choose pictures from one of my albums. So, I mean, I don't know which one I choose. I think I choose one of with 100 something pictures. Then you click import, and automatically all those pictures are imported into your crowdcrafting project. And the whole idea, imagine those pictures are about stars, like the things that NASA are doing. So then you use one of the templates that we have for image pattern recognition, and automatically it will work for you. Like you will have a project that it works with some pictures. Obviously, you will need to modify it. For example, this one is a template, so it asks you, do you see a human face in this photo? But imagine you're looking for cities at night. So you only have to change the title of the question, and people will be answering properly to those questions. And the interesting thing is crowdcrafting takes care of sending the same picture, like, for example, these rainbows. It will be analyzed by at least 30 different people. Crowdcrafting takes care of doing that. Otherwise, you won't get a statistical validation of what you are looking at. So imagine from these 30 people, 15 say there is this is a city at night, and the other 15 say there is no city at night, it's a city at daylight. Then you will have to actually increase the number of questions and check, increase the number of people who have to participate and see how statistically is that meaningful for you. So we have examples and templates for image pattern recognition, sound pattern recognition. In this case, just briefly, I'm going to show you that instead of using Flickr, you can use Dropbox. So from Dropbox, you basically log in with Dropbox and you choose the songs or the audio clips that you have. This was done, for example, for identifying accents, for example, from videos. Like one of the examples I use basically is now with all these videos that are being uploaded to YouTube from the ISIS, this group of terrorists, we know from United Nations, because we work with them, that they listen to to the accents to know if the video is real or not, because it will give you an overview. Like, imagine that accent doesn't belong to where this should be happening. It's another clue to actually understanding what's going on the video. So basically, you need a lot of experts listening to the same video or the same audio clip to understand it. We have also a biologist who was recording yellow-hammered birds, and apparently when they mate, so the north yellow-hammered birds, they mate with the south ones, like they go on holidays. And for example, in Spain, it's quite common, like if you go to the south, you will start speaking with the accent from the south. So they were tracking those movements of accents between different birds to understand how it's changing the language of the birds. So it's something similar. And again, this is not easy to solve by computers. We have also for extracting data from PDFs. This is using also the Dropbox solution. So basically, you will go to the Dropbox account, you will click and choose from Dropbox, you will choose the PDFs that you want to analyze. So for example, these are 2 contracts from oil companies, and you use, again, the template for extracting data from transcription of documents from PDFs, you use it. Once you have imported them, you click in update, and you will see that automatically now when we click in start contributing, it will get the PDF loaded, and you can zoom in, you can go to the next page, you can go to the previous one, and this works with PDFs that only have images. So this is very useful for all documents, because usually they are just images scanned. All you have to do is you get a bunch of PDFs, you load them to Dropbox, you select the ones that you're interested, and then you ask people to extract information from them. As simple as that. Again, 30 people will go through the same document, and it will answer the questions that you're asking, or they will extract the information that you are asking. Then we have for video as well. I'm going to skip this one. It's exactly the same. The only thing is it loads a video. This one is also used in Dropbox, but we have, for example, a script for using Vimeo as a solution, or for the audio SoundCloud. So we have integrations with a lot of platforms. So as you can see here, it's loading a video, and it's asking you questions, so you can actually describe the action that is going on. If you see, for example, harassment, there could be a lot of options where you need the humans to actually watch the video and give it meaning. Otherwise, it won't be possible. So this is really a powerful tool on that regards. And again, these templates, they do not ask you to code anything. You only click update, import data, and then it works out of the box, more or less. And just to give you some inspiration how people are using the platform. So for example, this is Memory, and this is a group of London from the Nanotechnology Center. And they're, as you can see here, this is a crowdcrafting project. All these dots that you can see are nanoparticles on a surface. And they move in one direction or another based on their properties. So the whole idea is to identify the center of the molecule. And as you can see, they have small lobes. That's why it's called flowers, like flowers. And you have to actually mark the degree of those you click the center, you will see this cross arrow. And then moving the mouse up and down, the cross arrow will move in one direction or another. I will show you in a moment. Then we have a project, for example, with CERN, where we are studying antimatter. We have another one, the one I told you from the NASA. This is the one that is classifying pictures. We have projects about studying arthropods. For example, this is actually the project of the week right now in Crowdcrafting. We have another one analyzing biomaterials. So in this case, we need to find out where specific molecules is more than 72 nanometers. And we have projects where people actually, citizens, all the projects I saw before, they are created by professionals, like universities, research facilities, but there are other people doing really cool stuff in crowdcrafting too. They don't have they are not researchers, but they do really cool stuff. Like this group from US, they analyzed the fracking from in Pennsylvania. And basically they created this project. So they have images from the government from 2005, 2008, and 2010. And they knew, apparently there is a public list of where when a company wants to do fracking, they get the license and they have the latitude and longitude where they're going to be drilling or where they're going to have the pad. So they basically invited people to find out in those specific locations if there was no path visible, like no trees, they have the license, but they haven't started yet to work on it, or they have started. You can see, imagine there is trees like in this one, they have removed all the trees and they started to work on it. Or as in this case, you can even see there is equipment. So this is working. This specific case is actually moving forward and extracting materials. Or maybe you don't know. One of the things most people don't know is water from satellite images. They look like brown. It's not blue. So a lot of people could make a confusion. I mean, it's difficult sometimes to identify if it's water or just soil. So they launched this project in Crowdcrafting, and in less than a month, 90,000 classifications were done by the volunteers with only 200 people participating, and they found the following. So in 2005, 60 paths were found. In 2008, 410 new ones were created. And in 2010, 1,420, which, as you can see, is not linear. It's more than exponential, the growth of these paths. And actually, they created a nice map with information. So you can see, this is Pennsylvania. You can see where the drilling thing is happening. As you can see, there is no space left for doing more drilling. They created a blog post. These are everything, the source code, everything. The issue was, they are like you and me. Most people will not know it. Only their community knew about this. As I was following the project, I knew about this blog post, etc. And the really cool thing was that 1 week later, or 10 days later, on the news in US, they started to put that the bubble of fracking exploded. So they were like the first ones addressing this issue, and it was kind of cool to see that happening in Crowdcrafting, even though they were not professionals, and we didn't have enough people listening to this, but it was nice to see this happening in our platform. This is another one. This is, for example, doing data journalism. So this is a guy who was reading the newspaper on Sunday, and he found an article from the local, he's in Iceland. He found an article saying that one of the judges from Reykjavik, he was a demon, basically. Even the journalist insulted the judge, saying that basically the numbers were like 97% of the cases he had. In 97% of them, you were guilty all the time. So the problem for this guy was, hey, you're not comparing this judge with the rest of the judges in this district. Why don't you do that? Why don't you actually compare it so we can actually see if it's an outlier, he's over the top, or maybe that's the average in that specific district. So more people jumped in this discussion. It was in an online newspaper. And at the end, the journalist answered, no, look, that's too much work for me. I cannot do it. And just to be fair, the numbers are nice and interesting, so we don't care anymore. So this guy got really upset. And he did the following. He created a script that loaded all the cases from Iceland, from all the country, more than 4,700 cases. They loaded them to Crowdcrafting and invited all these people that were angry and upset with this article to go through them. So thanks to that, he analyzed the full country, and as you can see in this picture, he got more information because you can see the name of the judge, the district court, and he basically created the following. So the results were that the Reykjavik district were 90%, 95%. So he was in the average. He was a normal guy. He was not over the top or anything like that. He was normal. But he found, as he analyzed the full country, that, for example, in other districts, it dropped to 89, and in others, even increased to 96, asking or producing new questions that were more interesting, like why this is happening. If I want to do a crime, should I go to the Northland Vestra district because I will have less chances to get that? And he created like the top 15 judges, like, okay, based on sex, age. So he basically did a much better job than the professional, which is what I love. And again, he shared everything, as in the previous case. All the data still online, anyone can actually access it and see it. Crowdcrafting is a hosted version of Pybosa, as not everyone can have a Pybosa server. So we provide both the framework and a hosted service, so anyone can jump in directly into Crowdcrafting.
When did you start Crowdcrafting? And also, can you identify a pattern, or how does a project become successful? How do they make the crowd to participate? Like, is there some key elements that you can share with us?
So this started in 2011 in a hackathon in Cape Town. I was with Francois Gray and Rufus Pollock from the Open Knowledge Foundation, and we started to hack on that. And we created Paibosa and launched the Crowdcrafting. And since then we have been working, and now it's my daily job. So I work full time on this with a team of 7 persons. And that's how it started and how we have moved forward. The good news is all our efforts have been really successful, because British Museum with the university, with UCL, with University College of London, using it, for example, for analyzing the Bronze Age. They have transcribed more than 36,000 cards, and they have created more than 70 3D models. Last weekend, the British Museum had an exhibition with virtual reality glasses from Samsung, and they were using the 3D models. I will show you later. And the British Library is also using it for doing work. UNICEF has, from United Nations, is using it. So that's how people are becoming to use it. And how do they engage people? Basically, because each of these cases, if you look them closely, they bring their own communities. In Crowdcrafting, we have a big majority, but for example, with the journalist case, he brought his own community. And if you look to the numbers, they are like 200 people. If you look to the fracking one, it's exactly the same. With Dark Skies, it changes a bit, because so this one, the main researcher wrote a press release, and he sent it to NASA and ESA. And I just wrote a blog post about it, because he just published his thesis 1 month ago with the best mark possible, and he has engaged more than 70,000 people from all over the world in his thesis, which is amazing. I mean, he basically produced a thesis thanks to the contributions of 70,000 people. So the thing was that he sent this press release to NASA. NASA wrote a full article about it, and then people jumped crazily to this project. So this one is an exception, but the thing is, they have really cool pictures like the ones you're seeing now. I mean, this is a real picture. There is no filters. This is what the astronauts see from the space station. So it's just a pleasure to participate in this project. So I'm going to skip the tutorial. Every project has a tutorial. And it basically, in this case, as you can see, this is it's the morning, so you will classify this as an aurora. I'm participating right now. What you're seeing here is, as you can see, I know the tutorial, but it takes you less than 1 minute to participate in a project. So in this case, this is an aurora. Let's see if we get one city. We get a lot of auroras. Okay, this is a city. So these are the pictures that are interesting for them. They're using these pictures for measuring light pollution. So we don't know which city is this in this specific stage, because they're taking pictures from the station. So the first thing we do is, this is a city. There are no clouds. It's clear for me, and it's sharp. I can see perfectly. Again, as you can see, we have moved from a city, from auroras, to now something that it looks like probably the moon, or I don't know. So in this case, I will choose I don't know. And that's why this is difficult for an algorithm or a computer to actually identify and classify pictures. It's really, really difficult, because it could look like, in this case, you have even stars, cities, and aurora at the same time. So it's really, really difficult. So this is one of the projects. Then let me show you the antimatter one, which is probably one of the most advanced ones. So in this case, we are analyzing antimatter. They have the following problem. They fire one proton against an antiproton, and they are looking where they collide and where they intersect. So this is like the black square is where they take pictures at different depth levels. So it's like you're using a microscope going down or up. And you can use the next frame or previous frame buttons, or use the arrow keys. So as I move them, you will see how they are like moving tracks. You can actually see those white lines moving. So their goal is to identify them. So I'm going to do one of them. Imagine I have identified one. It starts here. Let's move it. It ends here. Then I'm going to add, I counted, I'm going to add one. So I'm inventing this. Yes, I count 15 dots in there. So you can even preview it in real time. That's one of the really good things of crowdcrafting. You can do this really cool stuff. As you can see, there is obviously a collision. I have done it on purpose. I mean, just to showcase. But you can actually see that there is an intersection. So you can actually say, hey, there is an intersection. It's around here. Then you can do the preview, and then you will see that they collide. So this will let the scientists to go to this specific gel and drill a hole where people are saying they are and find the particles they are looking for. So it could be as complicated as this, or more simple as the classification of stuff, like I showed you.
Can you show us how someone that posted a project receives the information from the crowd? Like, we already know from the user, like, how do people participate, but how does someone get the information?
So we have several options. So for example, well, I'm going to do it with this. So then you have the tasks section. It has an export option. And from there, you can actually get the tasks, all of them, in CSV format, which can be loaded in any spreadsheet software. Microsoft Excel, whatever you can imagine, Google Docs, spreadsheets, are any software that you can imagine, or JSON. And the same with the answers. These are the task run answers. So if you click in any of those links, you will get a zip file. I mean, these ones are quite big. They have 107,000 images, and each of these images is reviewed by 5 people. So you do the numbers. If you multiply, there are close to 1 million of answers. So the files compress around 100 megabytes or something like that, but once you uncompress it, it's close to 1 gigabyte, something like that, of data. So it's this project is quite big. So this is one of the options. And then we have the other thing is, which, I mean, it's not as useful, but some people use it. So you can actually go to the browse thing. You can go, you can see the project, how it's progressing. So, for example, you can see here, I mean, this is a good story. As you can see, we have 30 answers from 6. Why we have 6 here and we had in the beginning 30 answers? Because we started with 30, asking 30 people to analyze the same picture. The researchers did the first analysis, and they found out that with only 6 people, it was more than enough. People are not lying or doing stupid things. So with 6 people, it's more than enough to actually get the good results. So they basically reduced the number of people that needed to be participating. So in this case, if you click in the download button, it will show you the answers. So this is, as you can see, it says info, SARP is blurry, the classification is a city, this is the image, and the cloud is clear. So this is how people answered to it. So in this one, someone answered like a city. In this one, someone answered as stars. This one answers city, blurry, city, SARP. So you can see you can start seeing the pattern. So this is how people actually analyze it.
And you can determine how many people you want to review the same task.
Yes. Yes. So I wrote a blog post about how you can do, so Crowdcrafting or Pybos is more than just, is more than just one web service. We provide a few tools to help you in doing the analysis. So in this case, we developed a library that is called Enki. Enki allows you to actually analyze your own project easily from a Python line of code, and I will show you how it's done. So do you remember, I showed you the video pattern recognition, so that's one of the templates. So this basically builds on that. It asks you, do you see a scientific experiment on this video? The answers are yes, no, I don't know. So what we do is basically we import the library, we basically write here the private key, we go to Crowdcrafting, and we look for this project, for the Vimeo project. And we ask the software to get all the tasks. So it's going to get the tasks and the associated answers. And it does everything for you transparently. So you only have to type get all, and you get all of them. He is basically showing you. So then you can actually see the answers. So you can actually see, okay, for the first task, give me the answer. So as you can see, people are saying no, yes, none is basically I don't know, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. So you can actually go through them and do the classification. So it gives you a basic statistical package. So you can actually do something like this. For every task in my project, I get a description of the answer. I mean, remember the answers, the options were yes, no, I don't know. So it's going to tell you for the first task or the first video, the answer is no. For the second one is yes, 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 yes. So we know that the first one is not a scientific video. The next ones are scientific ones. And we can do even a distribution of the answers with an histogram. With only 3 lines of code, you can do a quickly analysis. So that's how you can do it. But this is, I mean, we don't force anyone to use Python. As I said, the formats of the data are open data. So anyone can actually load it in their own software and do the analysis as they want.
Janet is asking, how do you get people to participate in the projects? Like, has any of the projects done it in a challenge mode? Like, let's analyze this and then get to this goal, or how do you incentivize the crowd to participate?
So we have two things. As I said, mostly the project owners bring their own community, so they already have a group of people interested in it. And then what we do is we have a newsletter from Crowdcrafting. If the project is nice and interesting, we feature it in the front page. We also blog about it, and we share it on social networks. And then what we invite people is to set updates on their project. So in the project, the owners can actually run or write updates. As you can see, this is a timeline. So this is, if I go to the bottom, the project was created in 2014 on February, and since then it has been adding new information. So as soon as you write anything like this, all your volunteers, the registered ones, will receive this notification and come back to participate. Additionally, Crowdcrafting tracks users. So you have been inactive for 3 months, if I'm not mistaken right now. We will basically ping you and say, hey, we're doing nice stuff, why don't you come back and do a few more tasks. So that's how people basically engage with other communities and bring new users.
Can anyone just post their project on Crowdcrafting, or do you have some guidelines?
Yes, anyone can create. The only requirement is you create a project. It's going to be open data.
Okay.
Because that's how it's defined. So anyone will have access to the data and the tasks, etc. And yeah, it's as simple as that. We provide templates. I mean, you can have, the only requirement is the data needs to be readable on the web. It has to be accessible from an HTTP link. If that's possible, then it's a project that can be done in Crowdcrafting.
Where can you get the app for this crowdsourcing project? What's it
so
for?
You have to go to Epi Collect Plus, and you will have it. It's online. It's it's available for Android. So it's online on the Play Store. So you can download it from there, and all the information is in here. And if you go to Crowdcrafting and you go to the bottom, there is a section in the footer that it says Technologies, and you will find Epi Collect.
Daniel, besides image recognition and sound pattern and PDF extracting data, is there any other like big issues that are done through Crowdcrafting?
So let me think. So for example, this one is for healthcare. We are trying to identify the tiger mosquito, which is a problem now in Europe, in the Mediterranean places, because it's actually bringing malaria and tropical diseases. So the thing is that they are trying to identify them. So they developed their own phone app for capturing this data, and they get back to us to actually do the classification. So these are usually tiger mosquitoes. So they ask you, do you see a tiger mosquito in this picture? Yes. It's a tiger mosquito, you will answer yes. And then what they are more interested in the third question, do you see any breed sites? Because that's the main problem. If the breeding sites, these specific mosquitoes, they only need a droplet of water. They don't need big amounts of water to breed. And that makes a problem for, I mean, it can become really quickly a problem in cities. So for example, they discovered in Barcelona, these people are from Barcelona, they discovered that in the streets, a lot of the streets have these sewing things, and they leave enough water when they clean them that these mosquitoes could breed new offspring, and therefore create a problem for the city and the people in the city. And for example, Madrid is affected, even though we are not close to the Mediterranean, because the mosquitoes love CO2 and hot weather. So now a lot of people from Madrid are on holidays in Barcelona and the Mediterranean. So the mosquitoes basically become hikers. They get into the car. They don't bite you or anything like that, but they come to Madrid in the car inside, and then they leave and they breed and they create the same problem in Madrid, in the inside area. So this is one of the projects I love. The other ones, so let me show you the one from Micropasts. So this is the project from the British Museum. So you can have, it's exactly the same technology. The only thing it changes is the subject. But this is projects. So now you can actually see, this is, for example, the transcription of the information I told you. Let's skip and show you how it works. So it's going to load here. These are the cards that are handwritten, which are difficult to transcribe. This is from the Bronze Age. So you can zoom in, as you can see here, there is some information. Then you will fill in here the information. And the most interesting part is we added the option to geolocate that information, because it usually says, we found these eggs, for example, or this spearhead in this specific street or in this area. So you can actually geolocate them. So you have a map now of where these findings were done. Mm-hmm. And thanks to that, they have new discoveries. And the other one, let me show you one of the photo masking. This one, for example. So these are the ones I'm more proud, probably, because they basically, so the card I showed you before, they already have it has something like this. They have found, and they basically invite you to draw the outline of this object. Why you have to draw the outline? So basically, you start doing like this. I'm going to do it quickly. So this is done by 5 people, if I'm not mistaken. So they take pictures from the same object from different points of view. They invite people to do this, and then they extract like this layer I have, this mask I have created. It will extract the object from the background. And with that, what they do is create a 3D model that can be seen like this. So let's go to the data. These are all the cards, and this is, for example, I'm picking one. So this is an X. And as you can see, I can rotate it. You can even see the transcriptions. So this has been done thanks to Crowdcrafting, to PyBossa, the technology that we developed, thanks to the volunteers. And this is really useful for research, because not everyone can go to the British Museum and say, hey, can you lend me that Bronze Age X that I want to study? This data is online. I have an X. You can see me, right?
Yes.
This is one of the X's. So we presented the results in March of this year. So I have at home this 3D printed X from the Bronze Age. And this is something that anyone can do. All this data is CC BY or CC0, which means public domain. Wow. Basically, it's amazing what they're doing. So and the British Library is pretty similar. The National Library of Israel is doing something on that specific thing. Then we have United Nations using the software for analyzing problems on deforestation, or when there is one draft, a big draft in one area, when there is some natural disaster, so people can help.
Have governments or cities also use your tool for?
So there have been some, in the best case is not a city, but the Guardian used our tool, used PyBossa, to analyze corruption in the Australian government. And we are really proud also, because I never thought that PyBossa could be used for that. And they basically created the first data set of corruption in one city of Australia. It's online on GitHub, and they did it, again, with their own readers. It was pretty nice. So it could be used by governments, by all means.
Some of these issues are very political. Are there any projects that you've turned down because you didn't want to do them?
Yes, so that's a good question. Actually, we have had a few of them. And not because we don't want to support them, because it will put us in a risky situation. So one of them was, so in Spain we had a big corruption case. One of the main accountants from one of the main parties, he has been in jail, and there was a big leak of documents from apparently this party, someone leaked them, and they wanted to analyze them in crowdcrafting. So we checked it with our lawyers, and they said, look, this is a nice idea, but you can't have that because the party could come after you. So we tried to find a newspaper who actually, I mean, they are protected by law, they can actually do this type of research. So we tried to engage with them in such a way. But as crowdcrafting, we cannot support that. So we tried to find someone. Unfortunately, no one wanted to. It was, let's say, too risky. Not big journals were really interested, or newspapers were interested in such project. But it was a nice idea. That was one of them. And another one, it came from a researcher. He said, look, we're studying marijuana. We want to ask a few questions. Can we do it with you? And again, we checked, and they said, no, you can't, because you need to have some validations from different governments. So it's going to be across all the world. So it's going to be really difficult for you to be legally. So it might be legal in US, for example, you get the certificates, but as someone is going to be participating from Spain, you're going to be in trouble in Spain. So someone can actually go after you. So we said, look, we can't, but you can. If you get all these certificates, you can have your own Pybosa server, you can run it in your own institution. So that's one of the beauties of our platform. You allow, if you get the clean, I mean, if you're legal, in the sense that you can actually do it and you're protected by law, you can actually have your own Pybosa server and invite your own people to participate. But in crowdcrafting, as we are a public service and it runs across the world, we have sometimes to say no to some people. But those ones are the only two cases, and in both cases, they have contacted us. We haven't seen anything strange or anything like that.
Have you ever used this crowdcrafting and been a partner with another organization where the crowdcrafting platform is part of the solution and they've built other elements that they need on top of it?
It varies, but yes, there are cases like, for example, with UNOSA, they developed few tools for integrating with their own stuff. Now, for example, the British Library, as the software is so simple, they have extended. So Pybosa supports plugins, and they have actually integrated their own infrastructures inside. So Pybosa stays our software, but they have extended it to connect it to their own databases, because libraries and archives have their own type of databases, so they are now connecting that. It's online, it's open source, which is really, really nice, so it can be used by other libraries and museums. I mean, they announced, the British Library announced this week the early results, so 2,000 new records have been added to their own databases, and they are available now for public use thanks to Pybosa. So we are producing results more and more thanks to that, and it's like a conjunction of people using and extending the technology. So in one way is how open source works. People start improving, patching, adding new features, and we keep the upstream or the mainstream version of Pybosa clean and fixing bugs and adding new stuff. Citizen science, as soon as you say science, a lot of people get scared and run away. So we are trying to find a more meaningful way, and we have seen ourselves as a crowdfunding platform. The only thing is we crowdfund the most valuable thing that humans have, which is your time. Your time is priceless as humans, as persons. So 1 minute of your life is the most valuable thing we will be asking you. Instead of putting money, I'm asking you something more valuable, which is, can you give us 1 minute of your life to help doing research and advanced science? That's how we are actually looking now into crowdcrafting as a crowdfunding place where people put their own intelligence and they donate their own intelligence and their brain cycles for a greater good.
This was amazing. Your project is really, really inspiring, and we are going to try to figure out how can the 3 projects of the participants of the Open 17 Challenge can fit into your platform. And also we'll just promote it because I think this is amazing and it needs to reach out everywhere.
Thank you.